Hello, everybody. I'm Finn McKenty. This is the Punk Rock MBA. I'm here with Matt and Trevor from Our Last Night. I guess you guys saw my video about Screamo covers and didn't hate it, so here we are. Maybe you can just kind of give people a little bit of context on that, and then I'm going to get into the hard questions.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a bunch of your videos on YouTube. Big fan. And then I saw you did mention us. I think you had our little logo.
Of course.
Because you're killing the thumbnail game, by the way. So I saw it on there, and I saw that video, and I thought it was a pretty accurate analysis of the history of covers. And then you got to us, and I just got a kick out of well, I like how you're objective about things. So I was like, yes, okay, cool. An objective opinion on our covers and how we do them. And I thought it was pretty accurate. Someone could be like, oh, not that you roasted us or anything,
no.
But the whole concept, we talk about it all the time. We're pretty critical of ourselves, to be fair. So I was like, oh, it'd be cool to hit you up, talk about it.
Yeah, so
on camera, because you were saying things about us that were some of them were accurate, and some were oh, okay, that's interesting how an outsider would
see us.
Comment on it like that. But it'd be cool to throw out there maybe our approach at the business side of it. You know what I mean?
Well, let's
cool.
just get right into that. So
sure.
I'll share kind of the way it looks to me, and you guys can tell me what I got right and wrong.
Sure, that'd be cool.
It sounds like you run the band like a business. Covers are good business for you guys. Maybe in a perfect world, you would do exclusively originals, but part of running a business is that you just kind of got to accept things the way they are and give the people what they want. So
sounds like you're listening in on our
conversations
every day. Conversations.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you start. I mean, we talk about this a lot. Once you start something and it starts to work, you're not gonna stop doing it. So we started doing the covers. People liked them,
and we started them reluctantly a
yeah.
little bit. Our manager at the time was like, "Oh man, these YouTubers are killing it with the covers. If we just do a rock version of this type of way they're doing it, there's no one really doing it in that way, so we should try it." And we were like, really? We were like, we don't want people to know us for covers. We want to write our own songs. The classic things any band would say. Tried one. It was Skyfall by Adele, because that song's just a sick song. So we were like, dude, totally hear that. We did it. It went over very well. And then
you got to keep going. I mean, you can't do something. You're not going to do a cover and see it get 100,000 views in the first couple weeks and be like, oh, I'm never going to do that again. That was super sick. But I mean, you just keep doing them, and it's not something we do like doing them. But like he said, we don't want to be known for our covers, but that's how it is now, and it works for our band. It's how we pay our bills. It's how everything works. It's how the business works. So we like doing them, and we're just going to keep doing them. But
so I guess the big theme of what I was thinking this conversation would be is that there's this sort of trade-off between art and business, or that's how it's perceived anyway. And some people make it purely about business, some people make it purely about art, but I think for most people, it's somewhere in the middle. And so the question is, as every individual artist, whether you're a band or a painter or whatever, where do you make those trade-offs? And I think
where's the line, and how do you balance on the line
and there's
of art and business? Because you can't ignore either side, I don't think.
Well, some people do, but most of us don't. And there's this, I think, unstated assumption in the scene that if you don't make the trade-offs in favor of art every single time, you're a piece of shit, sell out, blah, blah, blah. Everything that people say about you guys every day, I'm sure.
Yeah, they say it a lot. And I do think a lot of people also understand both sides and why we do it. I mean, I see tweets like we do an Old Town Road cover or Who Let the Dogs Out. And I think for us, it's not that we saw those covers and we're like, this is going to be the best thing we've ever put out, because that's just incorrect. That's not right. But I think people understood why we do it. We do covers, and we're not going to have Old Town Road come out, be the biggest song in the world, and not cover it. Did I think it's the best thing we've ever done? Of course not. But we're still going to do it because we do cover songs, and why wouldn't we cover that?
I mean, you are in the entertainment business.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people miss about playing in a band.
It's that, and also I think a lot of people kind of with the art side of things, they assume that as soon as you're a band, you do originals and you tour, you can't have any fun with anything. So that's why we did Who Let the Dogs Out. Dude, I hit up Who Let the Dogs Out manager and got those dudes to fly to our studio in California and film Who Let the Dogs Out with us. That's hilarious. But we posted that, they posted that, and everyone was like, fuck Our Last Night. You guys suck. You're a joke. I'm like, it is a joke. It's fucking funny. But people
Yeah,
took
there's
it
a
like,
meme quality to it.
So
but
like we're sitting here like I cannot believe I saw Baha Men play when I was like 12 years old, and now I'm doing that cover with them in our studio. That's hilarious. I think all of our friends thought it was funny, thought it was cool, and I'm not saying it was a complete joke. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
I still talk to them all the time.
it was super sick having them in the studio. They're
For sure, but people took that like to the next level. Like you just don't care about anything anymore. You just do whatever like is gonna get views or whatever. I mean, I guess we did it to get views,
Yeah.
sure, but it's also a fun thing. I had the opportunity to cover a massive hit song with the people who wrote the song. So to me, that's pretty cool. It's funny. I think people will like it. They'll enjoy it. And then people took it obviously way too seriously. And
So
it just,
I made a video about that song when it came out, and I took it down because people misinterpreted what I said.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice. That's funny.
What I said about it is that as an audience, fans reward covers and like novelty stuff over like small bands playing original music.
Yeah.
And sometimes I find that kind of frustrating.
Sure.
But as I said in the video, which people missed, you're giving the people what they want. Like,
Well, okay, but playing devil's advocate about that cover.
Yes, I know.
Not all of
a
our
lot of our
fans
fans.
liked it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, for example, say Old Town Road. Most of our fans did like that. A lot of people on the outside were like, screw that band. But
Which I understand why. I mean, sure.
Who Let the Dogs Out, even between our fans, is like 50-50. Some
Okay.
people like love it. Some people are like, why did you do that?
I joke
But-
around it at every meet and greet.
And I don't
Like,
wanna
what covers
dwell-
are you playing? I'm like, oh, Who Let the Dogs Out?
But
They're
say-
like, yeah, right.
Yeah. But I don't want to dwell on that too much. But we do try to learn a lesson if we put something out there and it's not super well received. Like, even if it's people who are not our fans, what are they saying? Not that you should be like, believe that about yourself, but why are they saying that? There's a constructive reason buried deep down there somewhere, right? So, like, if people are like, why did you let the dogs out? And we were doing it for a reason that was like, oh, almost like a challenge. Like, can we make this cool, right? And maybe we ended up somewhere in the middle of it being cool or it being super
And
whack.
us looking like we were super serious.
Yeah.
And like it was a normal cover.
But
that we
then
normally
we
do.
we sit down, we're like, maybe our artistic side is not being valued by ourselves enough right now. Because then, even recently, we haven't done a cover in a while. Not because we don't want to, but I think we were doing this thing where we were covering songs just to cover them. Like, that's what we do. So choose one, even if it's not musically a fantastic song to cover, making it not a valuable piece of art in the artistic world, right? It's cool to cover a song when you can actually contribute and make a cooler version. If you're just doing it just to do it, and you're just choosing a top 10 song, then
Not
you're
the
just
best
not
look
contributing
sometimes.
creatively to anything.
but
So-
on the other hand, if it's a business. If it,
Yeah.
if
For
it
sure.
drives a business, to me, that's valid. It's also valid to say, fuck that, I'm an artist, I don't want to do that. Like, I guess that's the point that I want to make, is that of course it's valid to make trade-offs in favor of art, but it's also okay to make trade-offs in favor of business, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
So like I used to, and as part of being a creator or creative of any kind is coming to terms with the fact that usually the stuff that you were most excited about is not what's going to be most commercially successful. So like I used to be a graphic designer for Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister.
Oh, really?
And 100% of the time, the shirt that sold the best is the logo in white on a navy blue or gray shirt, which any of us could design in our fucking sleep in 2 minutes.
And everything you liked, they were
Yeah.
like, nah, this isn't going to do
Yeah,
well.
it-
Or it didn't.
Yeah, exactly. But eat shit, and we're just kind of like,
Yeah.
well, if you want the white, if you want the logo in white on a navy shirt, I guess I'll give
then
it to
I'm
you.
going to do that. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
for sure. So you have to take both sides.
You
into
really don't know.
consideration.
It happens all the time. Sometimes I'm doing a cover and I really like it and it doesn't do well.
Yeah, I mean-
or sometimes I'm really liking it and people like it as much as I thought they would. It's like so unpredictable. That's why anyone who comes to me with like, oh, I'm doing this creative outlet, do you have any advice? I usually just say, and if you asked me this, I would say the same thing to you. You do a lot of videos and you probably already do this. I would say, try everything, see what sticks, and then just be honest about evaluating how well it did with the audience, or how did you like doing it. If you liked doing it and the audience reacted to it, then do more of it and see where it takes you. And that's, I think we do that sometimes. So then here and there are videos where we look back on it, we're like,
Shouldn't have done that.
shouldn't have done that, but you don't know till you try it.
And you know, it all led you here, and if you're happy to be where you're at, then
Exactly.
you know,
For sure.
hindsight is 20/20. You know, I mean, it's the same thing when I also used to do like product design, and it'd be the same thing. Any graphic designer like that works for clients will understand this. The client always picks the lamest one. So you show them, like, they're like, hey, we want some new concepts for a, you know, cell phone or whatever, and we give them 4 or 5 of them. They will always pick the lamest one. And you just kind of learn to accept, like, hey, we do our best to show them options. They usually pick the safest one. That's just how it is. And when you're a young designer, you get pissed off about that because you think that they should pick the cool one. And then as you get older, you're just like, well, I got to pay the bills. I tried.
So I'm going to let them pick whatever they want. If it's the safest
right.
option, then...
I gave them options.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with, you know, making videos or songs or whatever. Like, I don't get to choose what the audience likes. I'll put some stuff out there and they'll tell me what they like.
That's such a valuable lesson.
Yeah,
you don't
for
get
sure.
to choose what your audience likes and doesn't like. I think
Yeah, they liked the covers, so
People
we're going to
struggle
keep
with that.
doing them. Yeah,
that's an easy
it's
thing to
very
struggle
similar
with,
stuff.
for
Yeah.
sure. Whether we're like, say one day we're like, we don't want to do covers anymore. Well, if we actually stop doing them, I mean, maybe our business suffers and maybe we don't get to play music for a living anymore.
I mean,
Maybe, I don't know.
I still get butthurt about it. Sometimes I put out a video that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
It doesn't do well, and I'm pissed off. But then I'm just like, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, you just can't choose what people do
Yeah.
and don't like. So, kind of like you
Yeah.
said, do it all, figure it out, and
On that similar subject, like people, especially bands and artists, they want to pick and choose about how people listen to music. We were talking about that a little bit before we started.
Let's talk Spotify, because
Yeah.
I fucking hate it when people complain about Spotify. Sounds like you guys do too.
we absolutely hate it.
For sure, because for so many reasons. Main reason being, like, that's the way people listen to music, right? Those are the facts. You either accept that or you don't. There's nothing's going to come out of not accepting
Last
that.
I checked, the
So-
CEO of Spotify doesn't come around and put a gun to your head and make you put your shit on Spotify.
Yeah,
He chose
yeah.
to put it on there.
And also,
that too. So you can't complain about the rate. You're willingly putting your music
but
on
then
it.
if you don't put it out, I can guarantee your band's going to get a lot less streams than it does now.
Yeah, and my
all a
thing
trade-off.
is,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm super grateful for Spotify because my actual opinion is that it saved artists and musicians and labels, whoever owns the music, it monetizes what would have been illegally downloaded anyways. So now people are for sure more excited about just paying $15 a month and listening to whatever. That means you also get paid for people just discovering you, right? Anyone who's just like, oh, I'll check out Art Last Night, click a couple of your songs, maybe they actually don't even like it, but you still just get paid something
or
for
a playlist. I mean,
potential-
it's
Yes, I think Spotify's great about spreading your music around, and they don't really like throttle you like Facebook does. Like Facebook, you get all these whatever likes on your page, and
But your
then they
organic
make
reach
you
is not there.
organic reach.
Yeah.
They make you pay for the reach.
Yeah.
Spotify, you get the followers, and when you release a song, it blasts that song out to everybody.
So I hear a lot of people say they don't make any money off Spotify. You guys are saying that you do. Can you explain, like, what's
yeah,
different there?
so I mean, we're definitely different than the average band who's just putting out a record every other year or every 2 years, and also I'm sure those bands are on a label who's getting the majority of the money coming
So
from streaming.
explain how that works. Why does the money not make it to the band if they're on a label?
Well, whatever deal they ended up signing, whether it's an 80-20 or whatever it is, I mean, the label most of the time just owns the master to those songs, so they're just collecting every streaming income from all of those songs,
And then
until they recoup the money from. So
Recording
whatever
from
you'll
the
get
record.
$30,000 to record the record. You have to pay the band has to pay that money back off their small percentage, which could be 20%, could be 30%, depends on the deal.
It's basically,
and then
it's basically a loan.
it is a loan.
The worst
Exactly.
loan
the worst
in
loan.
the world.
The worst loan. Oh yeah, dude.
Probably take out a $30,000 loan on your own. with
Oh, you'll
much
pay
better terms
that.
than
You'll pay that back much faster
Yeah.
if you just go to Bank of America and say, "I need a $30,000 business loan." Go record, put it on Spotify, dude. You'll make that back, depending on the band, a couple months, a year, less than that, whatever it is. But if you're on a label, dude, I mean, we were on Epitaph. We haven't recouped anything in
And so
10 years. I mean,
so
it's
now
been
while
forever.
you're directly uploading all your stuff to Spotify,
Straight
which means you keep all of it.
We have a distro company that puts all the music on Spotify, but not everyone needs that. I mean, you can do TuneCore, CD Baby. There's tons of platforms.
I think DistroKid advertises with you. I hear
That's right.
tons of good things. Seriously,
Dude,
I saw that.
Use my promo code.
Yeah. Dude, go for it. But
I hear a lot of good things about DistroKid.
So this is another thing why I love Spotify. Every single person in the world has the opportunity to put music on Spotify. And that's how you see all these SoundCloud rappers and people getting massive on Spotify. Dude, it's just a kid sitting in his room, doesn't need a label, doesn't need a manager, gets something on Spotify, hits some random playlist. That kid's making bank now.
Lil Nas X.
The same exact thing. That's what I'm saying. So you have every single person in the world now has the same opportunity. Of course, someone on a label or a bigger artist has chances to get on bigger playlists just because they're already more well known. But every single person has the same opportunity to make the same amount of money through streaming. It's just how you do it. Are you going to put out songs every single week or once a month? So how we look at it is, let's put out a ton of music, build a catalog, and all of these songs now get whatever 100,000 a day or whatever it is. So we're just building a catalog. So that's how the streams
And you're going to get paid on that forever.
Forever. Yeah. I mean, you can go deeper into that, but yeah, I mean, now, and a huge thing is people are selling their catalogs, their back catalogs. Maybe you've heard of this. I'm sure you
to like
have.
Wall Street.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's weird. It's crazy. So owning your own music is the most valuable thing. Like,
it's an asset.
Investors are looking at it like more valuable than the average stock.
They're getting a 15 to 20% return following year on a catalog.
It's the same thing as an annuity. It's just like future cash flows.
Yeah, and those songs, dude, especially covers. People like a buyer will look at covers and be like, wow, they covered a Katy Perry song. Cool. Now every single time Katy Perry releases something forever, that cover is gonna get a spike. It's just gonna get a spike every single time she puts something out because someone searches Katy Perry on YouTube, and our cover of Dark Horse happens to be the 5th one that pops up. So like that. So a buyer is gonna look at that and be like, wow, they covered all these massive, massive artists as well as they have their own originals. Let's buy that, and that's going to make money for 30, 40, 50 years. And so whether that's $30,000 a month or $2,000 a month, it's always going to make them money. Yeah.
And you guys, because you have cut out the label and the management, you record yourselves, you've cut all that out. So you may be making, I'm sure you're making more money at the end of the day than a bigger band.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, our business manager sometimes calls us and he's like, you guys got to share with other bands.
And he set us up, dude.
And we're like, we're not cocky about it either.
Yeah.
We're not cocky about it. We're just like, I mean, if anyone wants to talk to us,
and
just let us know. We'll talk to anybody. We want to share how to do this for sure.
Learn how to record. It's not hard.
But buy a camera, test out some video. Dude, that's how we did it. I mean, everyone is capable of doing what we do, and I'm not saying everyone should do covers because that's just not going to work for every band. Or maybe they don't want to do it, and that's totally fine.
It depends what your strengths are, really.
But instead of doing a record every 2 years, why don't you try out a single campaign, one song a month for 12 months straight, keep the audience engaged, you're putting out constant music, and then if that worked out, keep doing one. Maybe your new thing is one song a month forever.
So here's another thing that just drives me nuts is how attached bands are to albums.
Yeah.
Like emotionally
Fuck
attached.
albums.
It's just like, cool, but that's not how music is consumed anymore.
Dude, the normal person is going to stop listening after track 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Even if they make it that far.
Who wants to listen to 10 fucking songs from the same band?
I know, and it sucks growing up. We all love that, I'm sure, but that's just not how it is anymore. People have ADD. They have Spotify. They have a playlist. No one wants 12 songs.
Yeah.
Unless you're Drake, I mean, he'll put out 20-something songs, and those will all be top on Spotify for
if you're Drake,
months. But
go for it.
And that worked for him, so keep doing it.
And you talk about this a bunch, how artists, rightfully so, have an emotional connection to their work, right? It makes sense, but like it gets interesting when the way music is consumed now is through singles and playlists and Spotify. You just click a song and it goes to the next. You click a song, it goes to the next. Or you make your own playlist and listen to that. It's almost like when you put out a whole album, yes, the back half of the album gets no attention. So when I'm making a song, I'm like, man, this song's going to be an album track. I really like it. I really like this song, and I want a lot of people to hear it. If I were to just simply release this song separately,
be big.
All of my fans would hear it. Everyone would hear it, instead of just the small portion that listened through the whole album, which that's for sure a struggle, but even a good reason kind of not to release albums. But then again, I would say to that is it's interesting. Without albums, you don't really get to do like a creative campaign. You don't really get to like have an. It's hard to build an image. It's hard to go. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
My thing is a new image. It's different, dude.
There's tons of rappers that do it. I mean, all of them.
I mean, look at
you
a
know?
pop star. Even look at Ed
Yeah.
Sheeran and Chainsmokers. What they just did. They had an EP or a full length, and one by one they're knocking out every single single until it comes out. So then you're treating a whole record like a single. That's kind of what we just did. We just did 2 EPs this year. So they each had like 7-8 songs. So that's like borderline where we draw the line. 7 songs, I think it's perfect.
Because we get to pre-release 3 to 4 of them before it comes out, so they all get attention.
So then really the record, and we'll put the songs that weren't released as singles on the first half of the record most of the time. So when they do check out the record, they've already heard the back half. Now they're forced to listen to the songs that weren't released as singles before it came out.
Because it's always the single and the first one or 2 tracks on the release that
For
get
sure.
most plays.
And honestly, we've learned by this mistake. Like the first EP we put out, we put out a song called Demons first, and then we put that first on the record. And we were like, we put out the record and we saw a massive spike in Demons. And we were like, wow, imagine if we put a song no one's ever heard before first, and it gets its own spike. So I mean, again, you just kind of learn from those things, but yeah, a full length will never do. There's no way.
So when and how did you decide to kind of take the model that you do now? Not just covers, but the DIY thing. You said you were on Epitaph. Epitaph's a huge, awesome label.
Yeah.
Why would you walk away from that?
We definitely tried to leave before the contract was even done. I think for us,
And I'm not looking for drama or something.
it was not no hard feelings at all. Like if we saw Brett now, it would be great to see him. But I think just for us, it just didn't make sense. It makes sense for some bands. It makes sense for some bands to be on a label now. But for us, it just didn't make sense. I think every idea we brought to the table, they were like, no, no, no. We tried to do more than one music video for a record. And like, no, we're not going to do that. Or we're going to do an acoustic version of this. And they're like, no band does that. We're not going to do that. I'm like, what do you mean no band does that? Does that mean it's not going to work?
Right.
Or you just don't, or you have this set in stone list of things you do for every record, and that's what all your bands do. And that just doesn't work for us. So I think at that point, we were like, it was kind of, then things were not the best for our band. It was kind of like, let's try something new or just stop being in a band in general.
So it was an experiment,
Yeah.
I think. Like our contract was over, so we're like, we owe it to ourselves to just see if
Try
we can do
one
this
more thing. Yeah.
And it just kind of took off. So there's just never a reason to like go back, really.
Mm-hmm. But we started with an Indiegogo after the contract ended, and that definitely was a massive spike. I think we asked for $15K and got like almost 50. So
wow.
Right there, we're like, wow. So fans still give a shit, which is awesome to know. Obviously, after a 3-record contract ends, did a cover, and we're like, okay, things are good. So let's just keep trying it and do what works. But
That's the toughest part, is getting it going. Things like Indiegogo and Kickstarter are actually good for that. Like your contract ends, you have $0. You got
What do
to
you
put
do?
something out.
Right.
Yeah.
It is awesome for that. And then you talk about Patreon a little bit. You do Patreon?
Yes.
Yeah, we do that too. That's cool.
It's awesome.
We like it.
How long? I'm sort of surprised that more bands don't do that.
Yeah, we have friends asking us, "Oh, what's Patreon?" I mean, we treat it like other people do different things with it, but
Keep going.
so we just treat our Patreon like a fan club, pretty much. We do things. We do Patreon meet and greets every single night. We do have a tier where we go to dinner with fans every single night.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we do. Everyone gets everything early. Their names at the end of every YouTube video. Merch packages.
We have separate meet and greets, which
Yeah.
is a lower
I mean,
tier.
it's-
So like we have the meet and greets we do for free every show.
Yeah, we don't do paid meet and greets ever. So this store, yeah, this store we did. Whoever bought tickets first week gets a meet and greet, which is brutal. I mean, we have some that are like 400 kids, which is draining, but it's sick. I mean,
It's cool.
I don't give a shit,
It's a
dude.
good
Like
problem
it's
to have.
sick. And then we have a separate Patreon meet and greet. Then we have a separate dinner meet and greet. So our days are long, but it's a good way to just interact with fans. And we created the Patreon to be a fan club, pretty much. So other people can do it as almost. I mean, they could sell their
don't
books
know.
through it. I'm pretty sure they do. I mean, there's a ton of ways you can
I
utilize
don't know why
Patreon.
more signed bands don't do it. Because I feel like in
I'm
their
sure it
contracts,
says-
it would not be even in there at all.
There's dude, lawyer language. I'm sure there's
Yes.
outside money. Yeah.
True. I don't know.
Contracts are disgusting. So
Well, last question, or I guess a thought, and you can tell me what you guys think of it. I talk to a lot of bands just like you do, and a lot of them are very frustrated because they're not getting the success they want. I feel like a lot of them might be happier people if they chose to make the trade-offs a little bit more in favor of business, because is it that fun to make music that nobody hears and nobody buys and be pissed off because of that? Or do you maybe make trade-offs a little bit more in favor of business, and maybe you're not making exactly every single creative decision you want, but you're paying the bills and you might be a happier person?
My first thing I would say to that is I think you can still make the music you want and be creative. Like, you have these bands, like I always use Dance Gavin Dance as an example. Awesome band. Most people listen to that and be like, this is crazy music. This is wild. Like, it's amazing, but they're gigantic. There's that many people that are like ready to listen to like a pretty niche style, right? Which is so awesome. So I don't know if there's like, I think you can always do creatively what you want. The business side that you're talking about is, I think, just coming down to it, working. What else can you do Monday through Friday? Like 8 hours a day. Like a Monday, we give ourselves a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 essentially, and then take the weekends off, because that's essentially the best way to
it's a business,
get
dude.
stuff done. It is a business. We
to...
take it seriously. So I think I don't know if you have to sacrifice too many artistic decisions. I think you just
work harder.
Yeah, even if you and your band members don't live in the same area, you can get on the phone every Monday and be like, all right, what's everyone going to do to try to help the band take the next step? And there's a lot of answers to that. If you don't have any answers to that, buy a book. Yeah. Buy a book. Go on your YouTube channel. Check out some videos. Like, there's so many things to do that if you're just sitting around playing video games all week,
hoping it's going to magically come to you.
Magically.
This is not going to. Yeah.
It's not really magic. If we sat around and waited for the magic, all our streams would be down. You got to just put in the work. I mean, it's just like anything else, really.
But I think the more we talk to bands about that, they ask us all the time, like, how do you do it? How do you make the money that you guys do? I think it always just comes down to, well, we don't have enough people in the band that want to put in that much work.
Then
so
maybe
then you have to stop complaining.
The
that, or just stop complaining. Because if you're going to come up to me every tour or every time I see you, like, dude, what do we got to do? And I tell you, and you're like, well, we don't want to do that. Then fucking stop asking.
I know.
I mean, you just either you're going to do it or you're just not going to do it. Those are your options. So
I was thinking about this the other day. Going on tour for us kind of feels like the vacation.
Yeah.
It's frustrating almost.
Dude, the fact that I haven't been on my laptop like in 2 days is fucking wild.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Yeah. So I think a lot of bands look at tour as like, oh man, this is the big work time. But like for us, being at home for sure is way, way busier than out here, just because we have a workspace, an office that we can actually do stuff in. And I mean, you saw me, I have my mobile studio here, setting that up wherever I can. It's just like,
we just edited a cover yesterday, comes out next week.
So yeah, I don't know, you just got to put the work in, I guess.
Put in the work. All right, well, we're about to run out of time here, so thank you guys so much for sitting down with me. Check these guys out. You guys are clearly like very intelligent about your business, so if you're in a band or any kind of creator of any kind, check out what these guys are doing. There's almost certainly something you could learn from them.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah,
big
definitely.
fan. Yeah, thanks for the
Thank you.
good conversation.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks for having us, dude. Nice one.